Okay, let's begin again. Welcome. Namaste, beautiful souls. Hopefully that has resolved the sound. Okay, there's always something, isn't there? Welcome. Today's episode is about the Wheel of Fortune. And I think this is a really interesting card. This is a card of beginnings and endings, the turning of the wheel. It's a card of fortune and chance and so many things, and we're going to dive into that in just a moment. But I was on YouTube yesterday and I was watching a couple of videos about how people select their card of the year, as well as reading a few different blogs. And I was actually mind blown by the number of ways that people do this. And I thought today, as a theme of the Wheel of Fortune, letting the cards fall where they may, it was important to mention this because I wasn't aware that some people just do this randomly. So they shuffle the deck and focusing on what is my theme of the year, what is my card of the year, shuffle, 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 and then they choose a card for the year, much like one would perhaps choose a word of the year or something like that. And so I think that was really good for me to view that, to understand that there are, besides the multitude of numerological ways to calculate your card of the year, you can do this randomly. You can let the cards fall where they may and simply pick one. And I was also, I'm doing a class in Tarot Foundations next week, and I'm going to dive into all of this a lot more about year ahead readings and different ways to approach that. But I was thinking, well, what is the significance, or how significant is your card of the year? Is it important? Why do we even do this? And I think that is a really good question to ask. So, this is a lot like when we decide to pay attention to anything. And let's use the example of the yellow bug, the yellow Volkswagen Beetle. I suppose that I want to purchase a yellow Volkswagen Beetle. It's an old classic car. I would love to have one. And I start focusing on it, and then, oh my God, I see it everywhere. I see it in the supermarket parking lot. I pass one on the highway. I discover that one of my neighbors has one in their garage. It's kind of like that. And so we have this card of the year, and we put some attention and some energy into it, and then its energy begins to grow and affect and influence a little differently than the Volkswagen Beetle. But nonetheless, the more energy we give it, the more energy that it will grow. And yesterday's reading was very impactful for me. It brought something very important to closure for 2023. And I am in a transitioning from a 9 to a 10. And so that was something that really hit home. And it was, it's good to have these reminders. So another thing I want to say is that these readings, it's really important that they're not just a one-off thing. If you're going to do this, do it. Do it monthly, do it weekly. And there's lots of ways you can bring your card of the year, you can tattoo it on your forehead. You can carry it with you. So give it some energy if you want this to have some impact. Okay. Good morning. Thank you, all of you, for your messages about the sound. Andrew, lovely to see you. It's been ages. Laura, welcome. And I see Ramon is here, as well as Amelia. Namaste. All right, so I'd like to read the poem, as I have been each morning. It just really helps me to focus instead of just rambling away here. This is from a collection of poems by Lloyd Haglund from the Voyager Tarot Companion. This is called Fortune. Fortune teems in the universe. The horn of plenty is everywhere and in everything. Fortune is a Ferris wheel, turning like karma, rising and ebbing like the tides. Fortune is the apogee and the perigee, the accepting and denying, the opening and closing. Fortune has 4 shades. Delusion beckons you to your vision. Passion urges you on closer and closer. Reward arrives home and growth results. This is the moment when surety is critical. Accept your abundant right and bring your riches forth with no doubt. Be the jeweled black Madonna, and these would be some of the images in the collage of this card. Be the jeweled black Madonna, the ruby peacock, and the golden firework. The energy of the fortune card is resplendent and inevitable. It glistens with presence and hearkens from within. Fortune has the energy of compassion. It sees itself in all things, especially you. Allow the birth of your own fortune. Be the golden butterfly, the glittering palm saying, I am fortune incarnate. Fortuna, the goddess Fortuna, was very important to farmers once upon a time. And I think sometimes when I look at this card, this is like the little farmer's almanac. The farmer's almanac. Almanac, in that we may take a measure of how things are going to turn through a variety of resources, but then things just happen anyway. You know, it's like watching the Weather Channel. Sometimes we get a really good forecast and then it kind of goes sideways and we're not really sure what's going to happen. The wheel is turning. That is without a question. There are, however, as I've been mentioning in the past couple of broadcasts, is that this idea of ripples, of interconnected things affecting one another, can come along and bombard any situation and change its trajectory. So while things may appear to be going smoothly, there's an action by a family member, there's an action by a colleague that comes in and touches you and moves things in a different way. This is a card of learning how to respond to those things that come, those tides that come in a little too high, or sometimes the absence of a tide, and it's so far out the water doesn't actually touch where we are. This is a really important card to understand the nuances of all of these ripples. Depending on the version of tarot you are working with, the Wheel of Fortune card may be divided into the 4 cardinal directions, reminding us of the influence of the north, the south, the east, the west, and everyone in between. The wheel may mark the 8 Sabbats, the celebrations, the harvest festivals. The wheel may mark the alchemical, the awareness of alchemy and the separate parts that when they come together have the potential to create gold. By allowing fortune to flow, by allowing the wheel to turn, we keep the energy moving and we allow a better version of ourselves to evolve. Can I say that? I mean, you are whole, you are perfect just as you are, but we are all in this process of evolution. We can't always be on the top. And when we look to the Tarot de Marseille, this is a reminder to kings and CEOs and people in power that we cannot always be on the top. If we're always on the top, we lose sight. We we forget how we got there. We lose energy. It requires a tremendous amount of energy to stay at the top and focus. And so there's a positive thing in turning and moving towards the sides and the bottom of the wheel. Yes, we are down, but we also have a chance to rest. And so I invite you to think about how all of these parts fit together to create a whole that is always in motion. I would say that if this is your card of the year, you want to be really focusing on any cycles that resonate with you. And this may be paying more attention to your astrology, maybe a particular planet that you want to observe and watch its cycle as it moves through the solar system. You may want to do this for the moon, which of course is easiest. There's lots of resources for that available. There may be other cycles that you wish to observe. I'm thinking perhaps you have, oh my goodness, like it might be something kind of on your skin, something that maybe you have a small cut that has been with you for a long time, or a scar or a wart or something. And you decide to take some action to heal it. And so you observe the cycle of the evolution of the changes in your skin and that area over a period of time. Like, get really creative with this. Think about all the little cycles that you could observe and bring into your deepen awareness around, with this being your card of the year. If you have employees, this might mean changing something up with the way things rotate at work. Getting people more comfortable with change. You could do something like changing the furniture in your house, moving things in a different direction. If you have never studied feng shui or Vastu Shastra, the Indian version of that, looking at the importance of directions and flow, and perhaps aligning your furniture with the flow of direction. I think there's a lot of things that bring into your awareness, and not just change that, but observe the effects of that. If you are a crystal aficionado, pay more attention to where they are placed so that they can affect the flow of energy through your home. Where you place spheres, physically in corners and hallways, and how you promote the movement of energy. This is something that you could brush up on and study and learn to better feel the flow in your day and in your life. What about just our general sleep and awake cycle? What about if this is a year to take better care of that? All of this is so important because we are in the way that I'm working with it this year is that it's a karmic reset. And so these changes that you choose to focus on are part of a bigger picture of you rebalancing your life. This particular card in the tarot, is ruled by Jupiter. if you read it that way. So if you're reading Tarot de Marseille, we're not really looking at planetary influences, but if you're looking at it through the lens of the Golden Dawn, this is a Jupiter card. Jupiter is all powerful and expansive. And so rather than looking at any of these changes fearfully, look at them lion-heartedly, expansively. It's time for me to broaden my horizons so that I better flow with the cycles of life. You could begin by just brainstorming a list of cycles. And perhaps then choosing 2 or 3 of them to focus on. If I put more energy into this, I know, I feel in my heart that other things will also flow more easily. Imagine how you could affect your children, your employees, your parents, other people in your circles. And remember that this is not just people that you know and people you touch every day. These are ripples. And if you look at Kim Kranz's art, you understand the complexity of this. You can make other people's lives better by beginning these kinds of processes. Welcome, Fernanda. Namaste. I really think this is it's a powerful card. We have the symbol of the owl in a few of these cards as well too, and it's like there's a secret knowledge that is available here. So know that while this is not something we can control, we can become more informed, and we can always co-create with spirit. We can dance with spirit. And I think the more curious we are about things that are ready to change, and I think in light of what I talked about yesterday, it's just such a brilliant flow of themes. And I would encourage those of you that are studying the tarot and interested in the deepening your experience with the major arcana to go back and to listen and find the connections of the story and the weaving of the story. Now, another important thing is that I should shuffle the cards, the timing of when these cards influence us is often in question. So what I mean by that is, if my birthday is in December, does my tarot card of the year not begin until December? Or is this a January to a January thing for everybody? And what I would suggest is that we all be a little flexible with this. To be aware of your card for 2023, to be aware of your card for 2024, and to dance with the energy of both of these along with the evolution of the energy from 7 to 8. So last year was a chariot year. And this year you're either moving into strength or to adjustment, right? All right, so let's begin with the Jupiter card and then go around the wheel that way. Jupiter's up at the top. Okay. How perfect is that? It's the world. Wow. Okay. So the wheel truly is turning. And I didn't talk much about 10 being closure. 10 being closure, and what that means. In order for the turn to wheel, something needs to be released, and we go forward and we sort of flow with that energy. And there's another really important thing is that if you are challenged with this energy, to find your way to your center. This is always the advice. This is a repeating card from the first day. This is always the advice of the wheel, and that is the more centered and grounded we become, the closer we stay to the center of the wheel, the less dramatic all of these changes are. That is also a repeating card from the first day. And this is a repeating card, I think, from yesterday. My goodness. Okay. So last year, after I had done all these readings, I did a summary reading about predominant cards, and I guess I'm going to have to do that again. My goodness. All right. So the world is in the Jupiter position. The Venus and Mars cards, so this is Mars and Venus, and I put them opposite each other as an awareness of balance. So in the Mars position, it's the Nine of Wands. So with that there, I would say, again, the advice is to take things step by step. We are close to the end of a journey. I think reflection is really important here. Reflecting on what exactly your spiritual intentions are. In the position of Venus is the Daughter of Wands. So there's definitely some action to take. In the Earth position is the Two of Pentacles, a card of balance, and also a card of change. And isn't this beautiful? Now I'm going to talk more about this in the next segment, so stay tuned. The little wheel, Father of Cups. This is the Moon. The Father of Cups is in the Moon position. Mercury, Four of Wands. And in the expansion and contraction up at the top, so Saturn is the Father of Pentacles. Does that mean we'll have to be a little bit conservative with money and resources perhaps this year? Okay. All right. If you would like to stay tuned, if you'd like to be a part of the next segment, here is the link for the next segment. And I'm just going to reset, and I will be back in a moment. And thank you all so much for joining me on this journey. Namaste.